about rising taxes, withdrawal of subsidies, middle of drought and famine, was reckless and heartless. Consequently, the subsidies must be restored, the cost of basic commodities and taxes must come down in the next 14 days.
Because what would that do? In a year, we were going to spend 300 billion shillings on subsidy that benefits nobody. You know, it would have been the most reckless thing to do. Do you know how much those subsidies were costing us? It was costing us 16 billion shillings every year to subsidize fuel. It was costing us 3 billion shillings did I say every year? Every month.
Every month.
It was costing us 8 billion shillings every month to subsidize unga. It was costing us 3 billion shillings to subsidize electricity. A total of 25, 26 billion shillings every month. The decision to subsidize unga, fuel, and electricity was not an economic decision. It was a political decision. It was meant to placate Kenyans to vote in a certain way. Unfortunately, Kenyans did not buy it because they did not feel it. They looked for this unga of 100 shillings, they did not find. They waited for the price of things to come down, it did not come down, right? Because it was a political decision. So, did you, John, expect me seriously to be elected president? And I know what is right, to continue to do what is wrong.
We will not go back to subsidies that benefit brokers, cartels, and people who are politically correct. We will not go back there. Fellows on the other side are not going to give us any lectures or any lessons because they have none to give. If they had any ideas, they had 5 years to implement, and they did not.
Hello everyone, this is Elijah Gichuru. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so grateful for your support, and in case you're new here, tap that subscribe button, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. Like I said, this is the greatest YouTuber in the Republic of Kenya, and the E in my name stands for exactly what you need. The government of the Republic of Kenya, led by President William Samoei Gichuru Arap Ruto, has made a U-turn on fuel subsidy. This comes a year after the president was elected into office. In fact, today marks exactly 1 year since the president went to Bomas of Kenya to collect that most important certificate of being declared the winner of the 2022 August general elections. And this was a big deal for him, and he came with a raft of changes, a raft of measures. Remember, the former regime was fighting him, and therefore there was every single need to develop new things and come up with new policies completely different from the previous regime, so that he can liberate the country. He was saying during his campaign trail that his top priority, his number one priority, is actually the economy of the Republic of Kenya, and to change the economy. One very key notable thing the president was really vocal about was the fact that he wanted to bring down the cost of fuel, the cost of petrol, the cost of diesel, the cost of kerosene. And we have seen numerous videos and campaign trails when he actually blasted the former regime for having the prices of fuel hiked every day. In his own words, he actually said that they don't understand the damage they are doing to Kenyans by hiking the fuel cost in Kenya every other single day. And therefore, Kenyans were filled with hope, anticipation, desire that indeed this is our Messiah, quote unquote, our savior in terms of fuel prices. Fast forward 1 year later, fuel prices in Kenya have hit the highest ever. reached fuel prices in Kenya. I don't know how we got there, and I know how we got there actually. We got there because the percentage that was levied on fuel was doubled. Previously, we used to pay 8% VAT on fuel products. Now we pay 16% as Kenyans, and that is what caused the fuel price to shoot and to skyrocket to that all-time high. The president was adamant about fuel subsidies, and in his own confession, he used to say that fuel subsidies are actually being mistreated by all marketing companies and cartels, particularly the dynasties who own these fuel stations. Allegedly, I can't confirm these allegations, but the Kenyatta family owns the rubies, and also the Raila family owns LPG companies and some oil companies. And Ruto says that this fuel subsidy was actually being corrupted, and the money was actually going to specific companies, and they used to benefit from that. In fact, even in his interview at State House, he said that, these fuel subsidy cost Kenyans 16 billion per month. It's unsustainable, cannot be sustained, and things like that. And the president said that his government will subsidize production and not consumption. Right? So he said his government will actually subsidize production, not consumption, because subsidizing consumption, such as fuel, brings the country backwards and actually makes it hard for the country to develop. But subsidizing consumption brings the country backwards. But subsidizing something like production, such as the fertilizer, which they have done very well actually, they have reduced the cost of fertilizer, is actually something very nice for the country, and will actually make it easier for the country to develop, because the farm inputs, or the inputs that are used for production, once they are subsidized, there will be more production and the prices will actually go down. But guess what, guys? The government has actually made a U-turn today and announced the return of fuel subsidy. Yes, that's right. That is right. However, the Energy Petroleum Regulatory Authority is actually in denial and is actually saying this is not a fuel subsidy. This is what they are calling fuel stabilization, right? So the IPRA is saying this is fuel stabilization through the Petroleum Development Levy, where every liter of petrol a motorist buys, a fraction goes to PDL stabilization. So this is just a funny name to call the fuel subsidy. What is a subsidy? It's just an amount that is meant to keep the prices at least affordable by Kenyans, and that is what they are calling fuel stabilization. It's simply put fuel subsidy. So the government has had to have an egg on its face because of going back on a decision that they vehemently opposed. And governments don't like it when they look indecisive. In fact, one of the famous UDA tweet or bloggers on Twitter by the name Bianca has actually blasted the government she actually vehemently supports by saying that fuel subsidy reinstatement speaks volumes about the government. It proves Uhuru Kenyatta was right and is now vindicated. Remember, Uhuru Kenyatta was for fuel subsidy, and he actually did the program for a very long time, and that is how we maintain to have very low fuel prices. She continues to say President Ruto's Council of Economic Advisors is incompetent. In fact, when David Ndii, one of the President Ruto's economic advisors, was questioned about the fuel subsidy, he actually said that the reason why the government has gone back to fuel subsidy is because they are not stealing the money, and so the money is there for fuel subsidy. So government has to come up with a way of defending its actions. Okay, Bianca continues to say the government is on a trial and error. It also means the government has bowed to Raila Odinga's demands for reinstatement of subsidies. I want you to remember, guys, Raila Odinga, before the protest began, actually petitioned the government and told the government they must return subsidies to lower the cost of living. But the government was adamant. The government continued to say no to fuel subsidies. Finally, they have bowed. And these kind of decisions actually give a lot of credence, a lot of political mileage for Raila Odinga, because we are seeing every day that the things that he's championing out there are actually the things the government is actually coming back to do. And if that trajectory continues, then I can guarantee you 2027, Raila Odinga will actually be a very, very leading candidate in that general election. Bianca continues to say that this proves Ruto is an indecisive leader, and it proves that President Ruto's idea of subsidizing production at the expense of consumption was a hot air and a wild goose chase. To me, killing the subsidy leeches was the best decision President William Ruto made upon assumption of office. Of course, it was a shock to many when the president pronounced the subsidy leech dead. It was one decision that generated a lot of positive reactions at home and abroad. And yes, it came with the pain in the form of inflationary trends. But there is a consensus that it is the least painful to bear compared with the crumbling effect of continuous payment of subsidies, which benefits a handful of people, is prone to corruption and very unsustainable. Reversing President earlier decision is a very bad idea. So those are the comments by Kenyans, led by Bianca, who is one of the very, very, very greatest campaigners or crusaders of William Ruto. And seeing her also calling out the government, it is something very, 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 very touchy. We're waiting to see if the president will address this issue of fuel subsidy together with the deputy president. We'll wait to see their comments on that issue. But really, the advisors of President Ruto need to up their game, because anytime the president says something and then does the complete opposite, really the credibility is questioned. So it's better if the president says something and it actually comes to pass. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. This has been your guy, Gichuru. Make sure you've subscribed. You touch that subscribe button. It's free to subscribe. You turn on the notification bell so that you get notified anytime I upload a new video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, drop a positive comment, and share this video with friends and families so that you can create a big community that can talk about anything and everything. In the meantime, thank you so much. Adios, and see you in the next video.